There'll be tons of money going out. I'll be raising a lot, and very little coming into investments. I was wrong. As our crowd in the last year and a half, we only got licensed in November, so the last 4 months, 5 months, we have brought more international money into the Gulf than we've taken out of the Gulf. And that's because the appetite of the VC appetite, the venture investing appetite internationally is much greater than it is domestically. We are facing an issue, which is that international investors in the end do want to see domestic investors lead investment rounds. Even if the majority comes internationally, they still want to see domestic. And I'll talk about how we're doing that. On the incubator side, incubator can mean lots of things. But Israel has something called the Israeli Innovation Authority. It's a government department. And their model has been fantastic. The success rate of a startup that comes out of an IIA incubator is 27%, as opposed to 8% across the Israeli market. And our crowd, we have 4 incubators in Israel, 1 in New Zealand, and we're talking to 4 countries in MENA to set up incubators that follow the Israel Innovation Authority model. We will be creating our own fund, and let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to help bring in angel investors. Okay, so, okay, we can skip that. Yeah, so this is just to show you that, unicorns are no longer the new thing. Decacorns, 10 billion and above. So Mobilize is looking to be valued at 50 billion. Keep going, keep going. Okay. So our crowd has created a subsidiary. We're the first Israeli, which is Our Crowd Arabia. It's the first Israeli VC manager to set up in the UAE. We're currently licensed in the Abu Dhabi global markets, but we're looking at multiple other regions and markets. Why am I not skipping? Okay, our crowd. Our crowd is not just a fund, okay? Remember that 6,000 plus angel investors? We will help bring them. Because the Our Crowd model, it's not crowdfunding, by the way. We are an asset manager. We put our own money at risk first. But what Our Crowd is a VC plus a fintech platform. The VC, we are the most active investor in Israel. We do 2 to 3 deals a week. But each deal, okay, we put in, first we do the DD. We have a professional team. We're actually 300 people worldwide with 15 offices globally. $2 billion AUM, including commitments. But each deal is its own SPV. So if somebody has a great startup, we like it, we will invest our own money, and we have a balance sheet that allows us to invest our own money. We've invested around 100 million over the last 9 years, and it's increasing at a rapid pace. But then we put it on our platform. On our platform, we have a little over 200,000 accredited investors globally. And then each investor can decide whether they want to invest. So we're actually democratizing it. So if you think about the 5%, rule, 5% of your portfolio should go into VC. If you want to get into a good fund, usually your minimum size is 1 million, which means you should have $20 million at least, okay? But that gets you one fund. If you actually want a diversified portfolio, want to get into 5 funds, you need 100 million, okay? All the people with a couple of million that want to invest, they are normally will be considered accredited. It's very difficult for them to get in. But because of our model, each company investment usually is a minimum of only $10,000, usually. And of each fund investment is usually $50,000, okay? So we're doing quite well, but here's the thing. 50% of our investments are outside of Israel. Right now, 40% is North America, 10% is rest of world, but hopefully with our Crowd Arabia, we're going to expand that. And our investors are global. 40% of investor capital, this talks number of investors, but 40% of our investor capital comes from North America, 20% comes from Western Europe, 12% comes from Australia and New Zealand, and Israel is actually less than 5%, right? But that 5% is important. We have to get that 5%. And as we continue to, because I know everyone's going to jump at me and ask for an investment, we still don't have the platform licensed yet. I'm licensed as a fund manager, so we're not investing yet. But hopefully, we'll finish our platform licensing this year, and we'll be able, if we can just get that 5% domestic investment, we will then multiply it 20 times with our outside investors. So this is how we as our crowd, and how I think this learning, because if you didn't read what this talk was supposed to be about, is what we in MENA can learn from the Israeli model. This is how our crowd is going to be part of the system. Now, of course, it's commercial. That's how we think we're going to make money, but it should also support the entrepreneurial system. Now, who is our crowd? If you haven't heard of it, SoftBank is one of our shareholders. That's the most recent one. We have Oryx. It's a Japanese asset manager, 400 billion. We have Stifel. It's a U.S. wealth manager, 300 billion. UOB out of Singapore, and Bank of Bangkok. Well, it's not on there, but it's there. The deals, this is everything we're in. We do all tech except pornography and gambling. We have 56 exits, so we're experienced in actually exiting. We don't just keep making investments. This is important. Several of them, like Lemonade, Beyond Meat, and so on, are unicorns. These are our unicorns, if you want to, everyone's taking photos, but I won't spend too much time on that. Okay, so who's our crowd? You know, should you take us seriously? So this is the presentation from Plenty. This is an ag tech company. This is its latest round. This is their slide that they use to pitch to their investors. One Madison is is someone you may have heard of. His name is George Soros. SoftBank, Walmart, and our crowd. That isn't a one-off. We've got several other deals as well, you know, where we're sitting shoulder to shoulder with the really big boys, the 100 billion investors. We give you very nice returns, so I have to pitch our crowd a little bit. But I'll end it there. I have 2 minutes left, but I'll open it for questions. But just to sum up here, in MENA, and I assume this is true for most emerging markets, the angel investors, or the amount of capital invested by angel investors, is anemic. It's very, very low. To able to actually get it going, you need to have something like our crowd that democratizes access, so they don't have to write massive checks. You can come in for 10,000. And you need to build that ecosystem that I showed you with that. I'll pause now and take some questions, if there are any. Sure. Oh, okay. Huh?
I'll hold it, sorry.
With regard to the 10,000 or 50,000 as an investment, so you are looking for the big numbers of investors instead of some
Correct.
big names.
Correct. So we have 200,000, a little over 200,000 on the platform, and it's growing at 8% per month. So it's global.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Saba. Thank you so much.